that
To throw
10
one
people,
rock.
10 people do two choreographies, and then just to lift a block of rock like this,
which literally moved at like 5
after 17
like
days,
so slow,
17 days after the choreography, now the rock is coming in,
and then the fire painters are like, they just fall, and I'm like,
right. So hi guys, I'm Manuel, and welcome to the film booth. I know some of you are used to seeing me on the Tech Haven channel, but don't worry, this is a new channel, the film booth. We're going to talk about everything about movies, movie reactions, movie reviews, movie trailer reactions, character developments, analysis, character analysis, top 10s. Look, everything that has to do about movies, we're going to talk about on this show. But today, as the thumbnail suggests, we're going to analyze one of my favorite shows of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I think for most people, this show is probably like top 10 best. Yeah. Top 10 best things that have ever been released to television, right? And so I'm excited, especially after the Nightmare that was released in 2010. I couldn't even say it. 2010. I'm excited that you have something to look forward to again. And so I'm just let our guests go and introduce themselves, and then we can move straight to it. So
yeah, I'm Shuaib Derby. I'm also a movie enthusiast and an anime enthusiast, as you can see.
yeah, and I'm Brian. I love movies, music, tech, and auto stuff. And today I'm just really excited to talk about the new Avatar because, yeah, we've been waiting and wondering if it'll be one of those Netflix live action bombs or whether it's going to live up to it. So there's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited myself. All right, so let's get to it. Where should we even begin?
That's a good question. Maybe
all right.
everyone should give it like a general rating of sorts. Like if you were
So we should start from the end and count to the beginning. Okay, all right. So I gave mine as a rating of 7.5 out of 10. And I'll explain why as it goes on. But what was your rating?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10. That's a very generous 7.
It's tough. I won't go too far. Maybe like. You see, I feel like because of the movie M. Night Shyamalan one, like maybe a 7. I was gonna give it a 6.5.
So you're going on the same 7.5.
It's decent.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right. So the first question I'll ask is, did it meet your expectation? Maybe you can start with Brian.
My expectations were really low. And I think for me, before I watched it, as you guys know, I was literally binging last night before today, right? A lot of the stuff I'd seen online, low ratings, people were already very pessimistic about how it was going to turn out. So I think, Manuel, you have been telling me that from the first scene, I'm going to be hooked. And I was genuinely impressed by the graphics, the action, the casting was a lot better, and the story was a lot more engaging than I expected. So I think I was like decently impressed. I do feel like a lot of elements that brought life and youth and energy to the original animation might not have been fully there, but I feel like the execution compared to what we have to compare it to, and compared to just, and just simply like in terms of entertainment, like something I can watch and maybe watch again, that was there.
Yeah. So Shai, what about you? What do you think about it? What did it meet your expectation? That's what I'm asking.
So going into it, I told myself, don't have too much hope because it'll be based on like as we've seen in the 2010 one. We don't talk about that, but then that's the thing.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with a lot of live action adaptations, even Netflix themselves, there hasn't been a lot to be excited about. So I was very skeptical about it. But when I watched the first episode, the pilot, it was actually better than I expected. I really liked some things they did with it, and it was higher than what I expected. But as someone who has seen the source material, the actual animation, and even some of the comics it was based on, there are a lot of things I feel like they fell short with. But then again, it could be that because of my exposure to the source material, I have like a higher expectations. But then generally, I was impressed. It was good. It was better than I expected from Netflix, actually.
Yeah. I agree with both of you in the sense that I think my expectations were so low. Like again, after M. Night Shyamalan's thing, right? I have been
Put us through a lot.
this is PTSD. Like so I really have to keep my expectations really low. So for this particular one, I think as you also said, because I knew the original, and look, the original was my childhood. Like
Yeah.
For sure.
it was literally one of the few things that I could watch in the house because I had the CD, and we didn't have anything like DSTV
Yeah.
when I was young. I think when you grew up, you got it later
It
on.
was
But
digital.
yes, but it was just the CD I got. So like I remember going to town. I hope my parents are not listening to this. Because one day I was in school, right? And then there was a guy who sells CDs on the junction. Before English class, the teacher doesn't often come anyway. I left class and walked to the junction to go and buy. And the junction is like from here to the gate. Not this gate, like to the actual gate. To go and buy the CD. And I got there and he said he has not bent it onto the bro. I almost killed him. But like that's how excited I was for it. And then the second season, I also did the same thing. Went back to him. That time I was in like I don't know what I was class 5 or something. I went back to him. Was asking is it in? Is it every time I'm going? My ask is it in? And he's not in. And I eventually got the season 2. The season 3. What I'm trying to say is that this show was my childhood, right?
Yeah.
And so because I've been heartbroken before from the M Night Shyamalan's, my expectations were really low, right? And I kept it. I tried to keep it after the trailer came.
Yeah, the trailer. And
It was like my expectations for the CGI. My expectations went up a bit, and then I was like, should I?
And also for the casting
and
too,
lots of
right? I
reasons.
feel like
Yeah.
the casting was a lot more promising from the
Like
trailer.
when they decided to go with a lot more Asian people, I was like,
A lot
okay,
more
maybe they want to do something
exactly,
right.
exactly.
So like my expectations were going about like, man, bring it down, bring it down. So I think because I brought it so down and so low, it's sort of like I was satisfied with what I got. Yes, it didn't blow my mind, but I was satisfied.
And I feel like something that might be a subliminal factor is how well One Piece did by Netflix.
Yeah.
Probably gave us more hope
Yes,
for
yes,
Netflix
yes,
live action.
yes,
I think that's probably something people haven't noticed,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
sets the
yeah,
ground for
yeah.
maybe we should give.
Maybe we should give them
they
a
were
chance.
like, if they were able
Yeah.
to do it, they can't do it again.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
still
exactly.
skeptical, but we're like, well,
They-
they've shown us
They
something.
showed us, yes,
something
yeah,
promising,
yeah.
so maybe
Yeah.
because
I-
that didn't.
Yeah, but and don't forget that Netflix has actually done Dragon Ball Z before. I have not watched that rubbish because
Really?
they tried
They
to
have
do
done
Dragon
so
Ball
I
Z.
many.
haven't-
I can list
I
all of them.
haven't.
They have tried Full Metal Alchemist. They've
Hey,
tried.
did
I don't, yeah,
Yes,
they did
a lot
Bleach.
of
They
them
tried Bleach.
They did
Death Note as
Death
well.
Note, oh, terrible.
Yeah.
They wasted William Defoe. Like,
Yeah.
so,
William Defoe was in a Death Note.
yes.
Yeah.
So, like,
Hey, I see.
when it comes to their past, they have a very,
tried a lot of
very bad
anime.
past. But then recently,
Yeah, One Piece has been.
But I think it's also because the budgets have been a lot higher.
Yes.
Right. So
I also think it's just getting better people to write the stories
Stories.
instead of just random people, which I think is much
Absolutely.
better. Yeah. So I think So let's move on to the next aspect. I think let's talk about the characters. Now,
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about this for a very long time. We're going to take it one by one, and everybody just has about 2 minutes to 5 minutes maximum. Just because of one character, I'm just going to make it 5 minutes, just so that we can, But we're going to talk about each character. So let's start with the titular character, our boy, Ong.
at least in this one, they call him
Hey.
Johnny Dunwell. Like the least
Yeah.
thing you can do is know the name.
Yeah,
of the main
exactly.
character.
And
Everyone actually. Yeah, because that was weird, right? From
Like,
Emirates.
was
It's
it
was
the
the
least
next
thing you
man.
can
My name is
do.
Ong.
Oh yeah.
that was
What?
That was
Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. So okay, so let's start with you. What do you think about Eng's the acting and the character development of him himself, at least for the
So-
first episode?
I'll start with the casting. I think the casting for Eng was really great. The guy, I think it's called Gordon or something.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like him. The costume design was really good. The tattoo. And the thing is, if you watch it and as you pay attention, you see that even with the tattoo, as you zoom in closer, you see there's a
Yeah,
bit of
yeah, you
detail,
can
some-
see
Funny
it.
enough,
Yeah,
let's
that's
give credit where credit is
That's
due.
true. Yeah.
That detail is from the M Night Shyamalan. M Night Shyamalan's own was patterns. The original show they didn't have patterns on the tattoo.
Yeah.
So let's give
But it
credit where
makes
it's
sense
due.
because it's a tattoo.
It's a tattoo, yes, exactly.
I don't know if this was only me. I feel like the tattoo was a bit low. I mean, it's petty, but like it's in his eyebrow.
it's
You
actually
ever
a
notice
little-
that?
Yeah, it's a
Like
little-
sometimes I'm watching, like it's
Yeah,
in
that's
his
true.
eyebrow.
we
Okay,
try
to
not
be
to-
fair, I didn't
No,
know,
but this is petty.
Yes,
This is
it's
not
petty.
funny.
I noticed about it.
You'll never
There
get
are
it
some
right
things
now.
that you try not to.
It's
Yes,
not-
yeah,
no,
yeah. It's just
yeah.
nitpicking. But now that you mention it, I can't answer.
Yeah, like,
Gosh.
it's in his eye. Like, it's in the
Yeah.
middle of his eyebrow. Like,
Okay, that's true.
So the casting, the costume design, he looks like the character. I think for that he did a very good job with it. the issue starts with the characterization of the character. And I also understand that it's also partly because there was a short time to build a long story. So they had to make sacrifices and they had to make some chops. But then I feel that the characterization was not enough. We didn't get the Aang that we know, because from this, Aang was a bit more serious and more focused on his destiny. Even at the beginning, him running away, it wasn't like he was running away. In the live action, it was more like he needed some space, needed to get.
Yeah.
But in the live action, he was like, "No, I don't want this response. I'm running away."
Very intentional.
It was very intentional. I'm running away. And then a lot, even with the main reason why he even went to Kyoshi Island was just to goof off, to have fun, to ride on the serpents, just to have fun.
Yeah.
But with the live action, most of his decisions were made with the intention of trying to better himself or become a better avatar. Whilst the actual character, initially in the beginning, he made sure that he tried to avoid, responsibility.
Yes.
Everything else. That's one thing about the character that we don't get from this guy. Is a bit more serious.
I didn't think of
Yeah,
that.
a lot
Yeah,
more
so in that regard, he didn't really get any character development.
Exactly.
Because right from the beginning, I think he was just, all he did was feel bad for him not being there. But you see, this one, he was not, even because I think the original, you just mentioned it, when he came back into it after the 100 years, he was still trying to avoid
and he was in disbelief actually for a very long time.
Yeah, and that's also one thing. He didn't even know that what happened at the Air Temple.
Yes. He only found out when he got there. And he
it
got
hit
emotional.
so much more, and he was more emotional. But they told him.
They told him about the.
So when he got there, we didn't get that emotion that, because he didn't see it coming. He went and then he just saw Nongyatsu over a pile of Fire Nation body, and that's one thing I like about this thing, because he made us know that Nongyatsu was a boss guy, and he didn't go down that easy. He took down a lot of people with him, but with this one, he was just on the floor.
Well, to be fair, that one they just told us, they didn't show us.
But then
This one, they didn't show us as the original show like implied, but at least they showed us something. So I guess
that's one thing I also like about that, because that's like an action scene that we missed out on in the original, but we were able to get to see. Another thing, we get to see actual airbending masters fighting and doing.
Let's stick to Aang, and then we come to the story.
So that's one thing. Also, the character development, he didn't get as much depth. We didn't get as much depth as we did.
I agree.
Also, we know that he's a child, so obviously because he's a child, so there are some things we can't criticize too much. But some of the delivery and the acting was a bit, off.
I mean,
but overall, I think it was a good characterization.
Well, let me just briefly do mine. For me, right? I agree. I think you're not making me realize the character development aspect. I felt something was missing, but I really couldn't tell what it was. But now that you mention it, it makes a lot of sense. Like as you said, he was actually in the original show, was actually running away from the responsibility, and then he got caught up in the storm. Unlike now, where he was just taking a breather, so he wouldn't. And that you could argue that that's the reason why he doesn't feel entirely responsible in this live action, right? And so, but I think yes, the real show. Hey, I don't want to compare to the real show, but the source. I mean, you cannot. Yes, exactly. But I think that one, the source material actually handled that one. I prefer the way he handled it. I don't think they can justify. At least in terms of storytelling, that one holds more weight, right? And for me personally, I think his acting was okay. I see what you're talking about. The delivery was a bit some wavy, but I think for me, it was okay. The casting was good. He had the heart. He had the heart of Aang, which I think was very important.
The happiness.
They could have showed that a bit more.
Yes, like just more vibrance and wanting to fool around, like you said, like the jovialness, like it's just like he's not focused on being the avatar. But this one, the transition is just so almost instantaneous. From, I wanted to have fun. Oh, I'm the avatar now. Oh, let's have fun.
And he made up his mind basically at the end of the first episode when he was saying that.
But look, he literally took like season 1 and half
the whole of season 1
animation before like really having to decide to.
Again, funny enough, you might argue that the original show had a lot of time, but if you calculate the time, because it's almost 1 hour per episode. If you calculate the time, it's actually even more for this show than the other one. But I guess that's the limitation you have with live action.
Because you have to cram everything inside.
All right, so let's move up I want to tackle Zuko last, right? So let's go to Sokka.
Zuko's an OG.
let's go to soccer. Brian, what do you
I
think?
think for soccer it starts with a voice, right? And I think that's what everyone says. It's almost like they got the same voice actor to
Even the
play
face
character.
shape.
the face shape, the
Yeah,
hair,
the hair,
and
yeah.
everything, and a few of the mannerisms
Yeah,
too as
some of
well,
them,
right?
yeah.
He's yet to say like Boomy for the boomerang when he went to Kyoshi Island. Like,
Yeah,
when
his
he put out
terms
the
that he
boomerang,
uses. Yeah, that's true.
that would have been nice to see. But yeah, I feel like great voice, great actor just when it comes to him looking like a character. When it comes to also being playful, he definitely tries to crack the jokes. I think we're having the conversation.
Yeah.
And like not all the jokes might land as well, but Manuel making a point that in the animation you can do certain things
Yeah.
that you can't capture in real life. But I also feel like they've adjusted the story, right? Potentially there's a way to also adjust some jokes to
Yeah.
land. But I do feel like definitely a few funny and comical moments. I think he's doing quite a good job. I wouldn't say like compared to, and again we'll talk about like let's say Zuko, who's really had an impact, or even Firelord Ozai so far. In terms of how much I'm looking forward to seeing him on the screen, I wouldn't say it's like as high as maybe some of the characters, but I do think he's doing well in living up to the character for the animation so
Yeah,
far.
yeah. I think I'm just going to briefly say that I think I do, even though I do miss Sokka's comedy.
Yeah.
But I actually believe that most of the comedy from the original show might not play well in the live action. That's just because of the nature of animation. You can really go all out with it. Even the way sometimes his movement, you come to the screen, big face.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
the
very
exaggerated expression. You
hysterical.
cannot execute that inside.
Yeah.
So, but I think that they try to do that thing where they try to, especially when he went to the forest. Spoiler. So I'm not going to mention the story a lot, but I'm just trying to cover it. I'll embellish it. So if you know what you don't worry. When he at the point where he met the spirit told him that we are trying to use comedy to cover your
emotions.
Yes, you see, but I feel like yes, that is one of his core character arcs, but they didn't show enough of his comedic side to justify that.
Exactly.
They didn't justify that
because it doesn't feel, it feels less natural and more so like prompted.
Yes,
it's like this is a script, do it now.
Yeah,
but
and they expect that. So I think they are banking on the fact that already know how
it's supposed to be funny, so you should react. But it's not automatic like
exactly.
that.
And then they should remember that I know in as much as this is one of the most popular shows of all time, there's people that this is their first time
watching it. Absolutely, and those people are being considered, right? Yes. But one thing I would say when you talk about that is the cabbages guy, Marshu. I laughed every time I saw him.
Yes, I'm so glad.
So I feel like maybe if you look at someone like that who still gets you to laugh, maybe we are finding excuses. Yeah. Because I feel like they just show him.
Don't you think that it's just because of the nostalgia of the original show?
Yeah, but that's what this is. Literally, it's the same title, the same show, like the same.
I think if you like the original, there's no way you can watch this without in your mind.
Referencing it, which is slightly unfair.
But I'm glad at least we can all still come to the conclusion that even though it's not up to the original, it's good.
It has good value. Yeah, it's a decent addition.
Do you have any 10 seconds to talk about Sokka?
Also, one thing about Sokka is also characterization.
Yeah.
Because, and also I get it because they have to, move things at a certain pace.
Yeah.
But they took some things away from his character because when we were introduced to Sokka, he's just a boy with some sexist opinions and stuff, which he unlearns as he goes on his journey, and we grow with him. You understand? Because at that point we're all young boys, and then we also taught some things. We also had his point of view concerning some things, and I realized that no, you shouldn't be like that. And then it was all part of the character growth, and we grew with him. But missing out some of these things, we miss out on a few of these things that were very vital to the character, the core of the story itself. But apart from that, I think they did a very good job, and he sounds so much like him, and he's doing a good job trying to be the Sokka we know.
Okay, Katara. I'm going to try to wrap it up quickly because we have a lot to go through.
And you've gone to Qatar, then I know
I'm going to make this brief. I think out of the 4 core characters, Katara's execution was the weakest. It's not to say that she was bad, no. Just I think the others just portrayed the character a bit better than her. Okay, let me not even say a bit better, because the original show she was a bit of a motivational speaker every time. She does that. I just think the execution of some of the lines, it looked like she was on a Broadway stage, and she was given the script. This is your line.
she's
Say it out.
presenting it,
She's
yeah,
presenting it. So
yeah.
it didn't feel like it was a communication they were having.
Yeah.
As well, meanwhile, the originals, I think they handled a bit better. So
The demeanor.
Yeah, because
demeanor
I think what they're missing is her personality.
yeah.
Like she's inspirational.
Yeah,
She inspired Saka to want to go with Ing, but this one, like, I feel like her having that whole sense of I'm so motivated. She was also like, I want to see the world. I want to discover my water bending on a larger scale. Like, I feel like some of those messages could have just been a lot broader. And I feel like sometimes too, Katara wasn't timid, like really in the animation, right? She was actually a very bold, very excited to learn and very curious as well. But I feel like here it's more like she's following the story flow rather than equally being curious about her own story. And maybe that's why we like Zuko so much, because, and I know we'll get to him, but he is chasing his story. And you can clearly see he's chasing his story. But everyone else is almost like, oh, we're going on this journey with Ing, and we're just doing things that would lead to this outcome, compared to they being on their individual journeys as well.
Yeah.
And let me add something. So one thing also with the Katara character is that with the live action, we get this mother vibe from her. She's sort of like
Absolutely.
But-
Yeah.
Caretaker. She's a caretaker.
but with this, you get her saying,
We don't
Sokka
care.
is treating me like a little girl.
Yo, no,
That
she
is
is
not
treating
taken as
everyone
well.
like
Everybody
her.
like-
Because there's
Yeah,
no
that's
Yep.
actually
a
true.
Yep.
dialogue where Katara tells Sokka that he's treating her like a little. We don't
Yeah,
get
it
that
never happened.
so that is like a different characterization of the Katara, you know.
Yeah, that's actually
And also,
very
that's
true.
one thing too, is that even with the scroll, with her learning and discovering waterbending, the scroll, she had to steal it because she wasn't encouraged to waterbend.
Yeah.
But with this, Grand encouraged her
to
and
her.
gave her, and even give her a loving note and all that. But Katara had to struggle, you know. Yeah, there's these small things.
But you know something? For the original show, again, I'm not even saying it because of this show. I actually always wondered why. I understand maybe all the waterbenders were killed. Are you telling me there was not one piece of document about waterbending in the original? So like it made sense for me that there was at least some documentation on waterbending in this in the Southern Water Tribe.
But I don't know if this is my memory that's failing me. In the original, I just thought mostly for like waterbenders, airbenders, the benders were either kept captive or told not to use their bending, compared to all the benders like absolutely being wiped out all the time, or they fought in the wars.
I think for the Southern Water Tribe, they actually killed
Actually,
all the.
Wiped out
they
all the
actually made a point to
Yes.
get rid of
Wiped
They
out all
captured.
the benders.
I think in the first
captured
raid,
and killed,
yes,
depending on
the situation.
the
Yeah,
situation.
the first raid
Yeah.
they captured, they didn't kill.
Yeah.
If you remember Hammer from the Water Tribe,
Yes.
for her they kept capturing them. They didn't kill them because they wanted to go and use them as slaves in the Fire Nation. But I think for the last raid, they were just killing every single.
The plan was to eradicate every single.
Oh,
what was the guy's name from the show? And the guy who killed the Katara's mother, I've forgotten again the guy's name. But that guy, when he got there, he said, "Look, I'm not taking any. I'm not taking any prisoners." Then he just burnt her alive. All right, so let's move
The
on.
gore, that's actually something that's really
You get when we get to the story and the scene. We get to the story and the scene. Okay, so before we get to Zuko, let's do rapid fire.
Before that, I realized we forgot to mention that in this, Ing isn't like Katara's bending inspiration, in the sense that he's equally learning to bend.
And he didn't even learn in the.
Yeah, he's not even interested.
I think I
in
wanted to
it
talk
because-
about that in the
Yeah.
in the story and the team,
we'll
because
talk
that was about the
because that's
bending
a
and
big,
stuff.
that's a
Yeah, that was a bit. You get there.
Weird,
You get there.
yeah.
Before we get to Zuko, rapid fire. I'm going to mention a character. You just say whether like they did him justice or they didn't do him justice. Fire all those are.
justice.
It was good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was good.
I love them.
Stuff.
Azula.
Just a bit
What's it called? Now,
lukewarm.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that's
a moment.
Yes.
I want to be a lot more intimidated.
Yes,
I think she
I think
does
so
well,
too.
and she's really good with like the action scenes and the lines, and but like I just want to be more scared.
intimidated. Yeah,
Don't
I
get-
believe I partly
don't get
believe
the fear.
I partly believe it's because when we the part that we get to see, we never saw it in the original show. So for all you know, that's how it was. But when we got to see her from scene 2, bro, that girl was a menace.
Menace.
Right?
Menace,
Exactly.
full menace.
Yes,
And
from
you
the
could- you
beginning.
can tell, like,
yes.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
hope they're able to execute that in the season.
Absolutely.
All right, Uncle Iroh.
It's lukewarm. That's the thing. So with Uncle Iroh, I like the actor but I don't like the portrayal.
Interesting.
He's not jovial enough for me. He's not saying enough for Jasmine T. He's not enough
We don't
for
get
me.
that
He's not-
profoundness,
that,
of
like,
vibes.
yeah,
I
just
was like,
And yes, I don't think it gets to the level of the cartoons. So I think, but yeah, I think he was okay. I think he was okay.
I think he's too intense.
I
I think he looks like the guy, and he's a good cast, but I just feel like they should have made him
a bit
more.
more. Yeah, I get that. Commander Zhao.
Nah.
I think they misunderstood the character
Yeah.
of
No.
Commander Zhao. Here, it's the character.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different person. That's why I think.
Exactly. I feel like some of
Person.
the motivations aren't carrying out as well for me with Zhao. Like I feel like it was more memorable and a lot more menacing in the animation than in
Because
this
he
one.
was actually he was a menace. Like
Yeah, he was an
actually-
intimidating guy.
He
as
was,
well.
he was actually a menace going after
Yeah.
Aang and stuff. Like we could see him actually causing havoc and stuff. But here, even we were hearing rumors that he didn't make it. He didn't quite cut it at
Yeah.
training and stuff. We don't get.
Yeah, that
We're
was.
not
They're not showing him as a
But
fighter.
But in the cartoon,
They're not
Zhao
showing him
was
as a
Zhao was
like,
like trained by
yeah.
John.
Yes, he was
Yeah.
actually a great fighter and he was a
Yeah.
scary guy, and
Yeah,
but here he's
exactly.
sort of like
They've
Azula's
actually
like,
made him more like a coward.
He didn't even
looking
bend
coward.
a lot. In fact, the only bend he did was when he tried to throw fire to
Yeah.
Suki and Sokka. did
Because
the
even in the
block
animation, he killed the moon spirit with fire, but in this one,
Yeah,
he
he
literally stabs.
Apparently there was a special. In this one, they changed the law a bit. There was a special sword that was supposed to.
Yeah.
So you remember there was a wooden
Oh,
Zuni sword.
okay.
Avatar
Kurok.
Kurok, yes, Kurok
so
something.
that
So
makes
that was the law.
But then,
for that
yeah.
one. Yeah. Which character have I left out? Main character. I think June was fire. I think now everybody agreed. June,
Perfect.
the lady with the smelling animal. who
bounty
smelled.
hunter girl.
Oh yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
and
she was
the
great.
animal is again the
It was-
effects and the
You
CGI.
get to that one.
So she was good.
She was good. I think
Perfect
June was
portrayal.
good.
Top to bottom.
Booming.
Suki.
Boomy
Suki,
was great. I like Boomy.
You like Boomy? Yeah, see people
I
like
like
Boomy.
Boomy. Boomy
I
was
like
good.
the
I like
portrayal of
Boomy.
Boomy.
And especially when he took off his robe, I feel like it was a good reflection of how it happened. And
And a lot of people don't like Boomy,
Yeah.
but I was saying that look, in realistically
he's acting
speaking,
well.
yes, in a realistically speaking, if you had a friend from your childhood, maybe say you're
You'll
3
be
years,
very
4
upset.
years,
Yeah.
and then you've lived 50 years, 70 years,
This 100.
and you find 100 years, and you find out that your friend from your past is the literal reason for all your troubles in your
Trouble
whole
in
life.
your life.
You're not, yeah, exactly. You're not going to
Yeah,
take
I
it
agree.
easy on him or something like it.
I
Because
agree.
he was literally because he was not available.
Yeah.
But that's why
But my
so,
only issue with that was I think they rushed the review a little.
a little bit.
little
Yes,
bit of
yes,
it,
yes.
When we
Yeah.
go, it was like wow, like it was
was
a
quite
review.
distracting.
Yes, they
But
didn't
yeah,
really make it
like,
obvious.
in the
that-
seconds,
build
it's
it up,
getting good.
the
It was like,
relationship,
wow,
him identifying.
I think they could have
Yeah.
made him mention in the first episode or something that he has friends all over the
Like,
region. He
yeah.
has Kuzon in the Fire Nation. He has Bumi,
No,
and
they
then just
mentioned-
forget
they
about it.
mentioned it at the beginning of the episode.
And
But
yes,
it's not
but
the
But
way
even
that
in
they
the
get
review,
it.
like when he met him, he got like 4 seconds and he
And then
Yeah, he figured out.
later he had to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through
Go
a lot
through,
of
yeah,
trials
yeah.
and remember
That's
a
what
lot
I
of
was saying.
stuff.
They're
I'm
putting
like,
a
oh,
lot
wait,
into
They're trying to.
Bumi.
They're trying to. We talk about that on
But I think every
story as
time he
well.
was on screen, honestly, I was entertained.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think he acted very well.
And
Yeah.
I like we'll get into that, but I like the way they portray the gods like different ethnicities with the
For
and
yeah, the
They did
music.
it
You know what?
really
Again,
good.
again,
We'll get to
again.
that.
We get there.
We'll
We get
get
there.
there.
All right, all right. So we've gotten to the people's favorite.
So cool.
That's rough, buddy.
that's rough, man.
Our main guy Zuko. I'm just going to start that one. I think the guy was excellent.
He was
I
excellent.
think of all the team, the team Avatar, he was.
Yeah.
He nailed the tone. He
best
nailed the
portrayal.
passion. He nailed.
Yep.
Man, look,
The
I.
charisma,
Especially the main
the
character.
charisma.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
was
did.
like the main character of the story.
Yeah, he was giving main character energy the
Yeah.
whole time. I
Absolutely.
think look. Yeah, I'll talk about the 41st division in the story and things, the story changes, but I think for him, maybe the scar could have been a little more intense. That's what I'm
Exactly,
saying.
like,
Because in the original show, like he couldn't really open his eyes.
But I didn't even really.
He didn't have
I was
yes,
okay with it.
after I went on,
Yes,
I just
yeah,
just
yeah,
just
yeah.
It's a
about
minor thing. Yeah.
yes. In terms of characters, so I think Zuko. I think all of you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Zuko
Zuko
was
was
awesome.
okay. The acting and
portrayal,
everything, yeah.
passion, acting, the character. And I actually think it's also because he probably had the widest range of emotion
That he had
compared
to
to
show,
everyone
yeah.
else. Like he had to show real anger.
Aang
That's
had to show it as
time.
well.
Like,
but
he had
he has
to-
to
Aang had to
Yeah.
show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just said something right
Yeah,
there.
Aang had to
He-
show
he-
it as well, but it's,
Tried out.
I think he's also a more mature actor.
So,
I think of all of them, he is probably the most mature
Okay.
actor among
Yeah.
the team. So I guess It's
Fair.
warranted.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah.
And I even saw an interview where he was talking to the original voice actor for Zuko.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
actually did some
A lot
research.
of
Research,
editing.
yeah.
Put
Yeah.
a lot of effort,
A lot of effort into it. So I
You
really,
can tell. You
look,
did a great job.
Zuko is a very hard character to
That's
act.
a
We
sure,
are talking about one of the most well-written characters
Complex.
in all of
Absolutely.
animation,
Yeah.
movie, story, every possible storytelling medium.
Yeah.
Zuko is
Yeah.
actually
Yes,
a model character development character, you know.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to portray him like this, I think, even if it's 80% of the show, look, that his name is, I think it's Dallas Liu. Excellent portrayal.
I agree.
I think he really tried. Yeah. Minor characters. Momo and Appa, they didn't really show themselves too much or whatever. I think they could have given Appa
Momo
a
was
bit.
actually kind of
Yes, Momo had a bit of character. Appa didn't have a lot of character. Like Appa didn't fight, help them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I
Actually-
actually see a lot of Appa in there. We get he has like character. We get to see.
Yeah, you get to see Appa. Yeah, he's
in
like
the
part of the
original-
team.
in the
But
original-
in this
part of
one,
the team.
he's like
He actually-
he's
yeah.
a vehicle.
It's a vehicle, yeah.
They
yeah.
call him
It doesn't have.
That's like he
I'm
actually-
hoping season 2 they
yeah.
actually give him a bit more character, so that like they show a bit more of his character. He's an animal, but yeah.
Also Tsuki.
Oh,
Uh,
oh! I forgot. Let me just briefly touch on Zuki. I think that Suki and Sokka's relationship was very believable. I felt the chemistry when I was watching it. Like I really felt.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it was a little bit rushed.
Yeah,
But
agree.
it makes sense because there's
yes.
so
And they were
much-
supposed to
much-
leave
But the
it.
chemistry,
The chemistry
was
was there.
there.
Yeah.
It made sense. They actually
And
good
bear in
together.
mind, that was the first proper girls,
Sucker.
and she herself.
No, but I
obviously-
that
feel
was
like
something,
it was
yes.
the when they went to the Northern Water Tribe, the princess.
Princess Yue.
That was Sokka's like first
True love.
true love. Yeah, like
In the
girlfriend.
if we watch that,
I mean, I
that
guess
was-
they wanted to show
animation, that was
Kyoshi
the-
Island first,
that
but she
mean,
was the first.
I mean, for me personally, I used to. The person I shipped the most was Sokka and Suki. For me,
No,
yes,
yeah, because
that's-
they like
yeah.
went into the future, like
But
they
we
knew
feel like-
themselves, reunited.
Sokka's
they had a
first
better
true love.
story, but
Because if
his
it took
first
a
true
while
love
for him
was
to get
the
over
princess
her,
from the
because he was even drawing back from Suki and all
yeah,
that.
he used to
Anytime
stare
that
at the moon and stuff.
Yeah.
like
yeah,
that.
I think. Oh, yeah, right. I think she was laugh struck when he saw
Yeah.
Yue.
Like,
And I
her-
think
her
they
beauty just
rushed
yes.
it.
captivated.
They rushed it a little because we had Sokka meeting Suki and then
I think it's because
kissing
they
her
wanted to
one
start
day.
from Kyoshi Island. They had to
Yeah.
try and
That's
put so
yeah.
much
Yeah,
inside that.
because, come on,
That makes sense.
we see
They had the
Sokka
Twitter.
meeting Suki,
Yeah.
connecting with her, kissing her. The next day, he sees you and his love. I mean,
Yeah, I'm like, Charlie,
right.
what's happening?
And
It's just too fast. You have to
if you
chill,
missed,
brother. You have
if you
to chill.
missed it, there's a point where they ran away from some firebenders.
Yeah.
They said that Sokka went to find some
Yeah.
from Gil was
Look
like,
at this.
and found out that
Look
it
at
was a
this.
firebender.
Like when I saw how quickly he hooked up with Suki, I was like, isn't this guy going to hook up with Yui? Like,
No,
all
I
in one
think,
season, that's
but
a lot of
Sokka
girls.
was that guy in the animation.
Nah, but
But it
over
was too
time,
much.
Look, he
and
had
usually
Kylie.
something
He had
split
Kylie.
him.
we
Nah,
get
nah,
that
nah,
idea.
over
It was too
time,
much. You know,
over
like 2
time.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
2 days.
Sokka,
Take
your mama,
time,
your
yeah.
mama.
Take time. I feel like it was.
Yeah.
He
But I
moves
get-
fast. He
But I
moves
think
fast.
Suki's portrayal was
Yeah,
actually quite.
Yeah, the
character
person
design
played
was
it
good.
well.
The paint,
The makeup,
paint
and
was
even the
incredible.
casting, like
the casting was always
casting
solid.
was good.
I think we covered most of the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to story, the themes, and the tone.